Just before we start this video, I want to say that I use a figure which actually isn't included in this set, just as a means of demonstration purposes really. If you want to see me review this figure, it is of course of the Luke Skywalker in Snowspeeder pilot gear. Link will be somewhere up there. So by all means, if you want to watch that first, check it out. And well, if not, you're more bothered about this, then sit back, relax and enjoy the review. Hello Figgy Fiends and Collectors, this is me, Daniel East 1000, back again with another Star Wars The Black Series figure and this time vehicle review. Today we're going to be having a look at this absolute monster. It is none other than the Snowspeeder and Dak Ralter figure and vehicle pack. This thing is absolutely incredible. As always though, we will take a look at the packaging, then the set itself, and I'm unsure, to be perfectly honest with you, just looking at the artwork, if they'll be using Gregory Titus from here on in. I know that they're not going to be using him as an artist on the new design packaging, so I don't know if the vehicle packaging will change. I'd imagine so, given that they'll want to keep it all within in-keeping in style, but this might be the last time we see, in terms of vehicle packaging, his artwork on a box, which is kind of sad really. But nonetheless, this vehicle packing is of course here to commemorate the 40th anniversary of The Empire Strikes Back, something that Hasbro has been very adamant on ramming down our throats, which isn't a bad thing particularly. Nonetheless, absolutely gorgeous artwork there. You've got a nice picture of the actual product itself, the figure and the vehicle packing. On the side you've got the red band, no number, but you've got Snowspeeder and Dak Ralter there. On the other side you've got a nice picture of Dak and Star Wars The Black Series logo at the top there. On the back you've got a bit of a breakdown of some of the features that the Snowspeeder has, as well as a brio and a tiny bit of legal garb, which is nice to see. So that's pretty much it for the packaging. If you want to see the top's just that, and then the other side, legal garb. I never really show the bottom, but there we go. So that's the packaging for the Snowspeeder, pretty much indicating how big this thing is going to be. So let's take a look at it, shall we? And here we have the Snowspeeder with Dak Ralter, who I have sat inside, and I have sat Luke in there as well. Like I said at the start of this video, Luke doesn't come with this set, but I've put him in there just for the intensive purposes of demonstrating, just to make it feel a little bit more complete. But you will have to buy that figure separately. Nonetheless though, here is the Snowspeeder. We'll take a look at this first, just because there is a lot to look at with this thing. Lots of details, lots of cool little features. I'm pretty blown away. It is a chunky bit of plastic. So we'll just give you a top view of that. And side profile, if I move my hands out of the way. And just around the back. Just look at the engines there. Really gorgeous. There is some assembly required with this thing, not too much. You've just got the gunner at the back there, the little gun there, which does rotate. There's a panel this side, which I will show you at some point, where you can remove that, and this engine just fits over there, or I think it's a laser cannon. You've also got these to fit as well, so nothing too difficult. There's no instructions, but you'll probably be able to work it out. But it is an absolute thing of beauty in terms of just how big it is and how detailed. Give you a close-up, some kind of like paint chipping and like dents that they've actually moulded into the plastic. On the fins as well, just up here you can kind of see the scorch mark, and they've kind of like indented that into the actual sculpt, which just looks quite authentic really. 3 details of which I pride myself on actually translating for you guys from Aurebesh to English. Do not step, laser cannon power located underneath. And this one says laser access panel. This one says, if you can see it, just there. Just need to refer to my notes. Laser target control, which clears up what that actually is. So that's pretty cool. The interesting thing to note as well, and something that I was kind of puzzled about, was the fact that these, stripes here are painted grey. I always thought they were orange, and they are on some of the snowspeeders, but on Luke's snowspeeder it is actually grey, so they've kept it in keeping with the snowspeeder that Luke pilots in the film. So that's just a cool little detail I picked up on, and wasn't actually fully aware of until, coming to do this review and doing a bit of research into it. Will they do a repainted snowspeeder with Wedge Antilles? That'll be cool to see. I doubt it, but if there are people out there who are very crafty and good with their paint work, you could certainly easily repaint this if you so wished. But nonetheless, just a very, very big piece of plastic. And hopefully me reviewing it like this gives you kind of like a sense of size and stuff. So in terms of features, let's get into those on both sides here. You've got a little crevice there where you can put your finger in. You can pull these panels up. You've got these speed flaps, which just pull up quite nicely, and you can pose those like that, or sort of like this, just slightly raised. You can see a little bit of the sculpting work inside there, just to give you a bit of a hint as to the engine, which is quite nice. So if I just close those up, you can remove this piece, and this comes pre-disassembled when you get the set. So you take this laser piece off, you can take this panel off as well, and you can see just the inner workings there. Again, if you had some paints, you'd probably be able to weather that up and make it look a little bit more authentic, but the sculpting work there is absolutely gorgeous. So if you wanted to kind of have it look a bit more rough and ready and ruggedy, to make it look like it's been worked on but needs to get into operation as soon as possible. They haven't had enough time to re-put that panel back on, which is kind of cool. So if we just pull this panel back, there's these flaps which can be repositioned, and they just go down like that, or you can have them a bit more centralised like so. We've got the gunner at the back here, and if we focus on that gun, well, that's the harpoon and that's the tow cable. An interesting thing about this tow cable is, as you can see here, there's a little peg, and that tow cable has a plastic piece which actually does fit in there. It shows you on the box to do that. That's because in the film the tow cable is fired from this. That piece obviously attaches onto whatever it's been fired at, so in the film the AT-AT leg, and then at the back the cable basically drags out, pulls the walker down hopefully, but it's actually got a thing to keep it from being lost, which is a little bit of a shame. It would have been nice if you could completely detach that, but it's a nice feature nonetheless, and is relatively movie accurate. So if we just plug that back in onto the gun, just give you a look at that. It's not a particularly long piece of string, that's as far as it really goes, but to rewind that in, there's no like knob or anything to reel it back in, which is a bit of a shame. If you just pop this panel open here, you can re-pull that all back in and just snugly tuck that into the storage compartment like so. There's some nice bit of sculpting on that as well. So we just close that up. While we're at the bottom here as well, you do have some landing gear. So if you just pull these panels up, there's a landing skid which is actually attached onto one of those panels, and it's the same on this side as well. They're not particularly sturdy when you do, have the landing gear down and you put it on a table or, rest it on whatever surface. They do have a tendency to slip out of place. It would have been nice if there was a mechanism or something to lock those. That's just a very minor complaint. This middle one also opens up, and you just pull the foot down like so. It's just a nice little feature, so it doesn't warp the plastic and stuff. It'll actually rest on those quite nicely. I'll lock those back up. Just some tremendous amount of sculpting, even on the inside of these panels. It's nice to see that. It just makes it feel a little bit more, you know, cared for in terms of its production. Obviously the paintwork and things. Not only that, you can open up obviously the cockpit to see your or sit your pilots inside that. You've obviously got the handles there that, you know, your back gunner will use to pull the canopy down, which is seen in the film. There's lots and lots of little details in there, and when you put two pilots in, it does really complete the set. I will give you a look at Dak just in a little bit. I will say one of the biggest bugbears that I've found, I've noticed a lot of other people say this, is the seat belts. It's not too bad for Luke, you know, the pilot. The seatbelt goes on him quite nicely. It's just Dak at the back. His seatbelt is really tight, really tight on him, and it's quite difficult to get these seatbelt straps to peg in. You can do it, it's just they are really secure in there, you know. If I flip it up, they are not moving. Even when you shake it, they're not moving at all, which is great. You've got the panels in there. Nice console as well. Just some absolutely tremendous amount of painting and detailing in that. Just absolutely incredible. If you really wanted to, I'd imagine you could probably get the hands to actually hold on to the joysticks and things like that, but I've left them quite loose in case I do want to take them out. What I will also say that is quite cool about the cockpit is there's some storage space, because this does come with some accessories. So in here you've got the grappling hook gun that Luke uses in the film, and that stores inside the Snowspeeder cockpit. Unfortunately there is no sort of like hole made into that clip there, because if they did that, that would probably just sit quite nicely on Luke's flight jacket. So the grappling hook gun is, you know, relatively nicely painted. Not too much going on there, but it's a nice inclusion nonetheless. And like I said, it does sit inside the cockpit. Just inside there's a little hole. It sits quite snugly. You do get some grenades which are hidden at the side here and on this side. Two of them are pre-molded in, but there's two, one here and one here, which you can actually take out and you can give to Luke. He uses those in the film to blow up the AT-AT, which is super cool that they've included that. So that's really it in terms of accessories, other than of course the helmet that comes with Dak. And well, seeing as I've mentioned Dak, I should probably take him out and give you guys a little look at him. And here we have Dak Ralter, who is looking ready to take on the whole Empire, only for the Empire to squash him. Nonetheless, this is a quite cool addition to the collection, and does make sense as to why they included him with the Snowspeeder. He is of course Luke's trusty gunner from Empire Strikes Back, and he doesn't really come with any accessories. The only specific accessory for him really is the helmet that he's wearing, which has the blue rebellion symbols, markings on the side there. It would have been nice if they included a blaster with him. It's a little bit unfortunate they didn't do that if you did want to have him displayed outside the Snowspeeder, but it's not a biggie. I'd imagine most people will have him sat in his gunner position when they have this on display. So the figure itself effectively uses most of its parts from the Snowspeeder Luke figure, although the belt is slightly different. They've, you know, changed the belt up, and that's pretty much about it. So really there's not that much too special about this guy, other than the fact that it comes exclusively to this set and probably will be the only way you can get him. It's like I said, there's not really too much I need to overly cover, just because I've sort of reviewed the Luke, and this is effectively the same figure for the most part. But if I take the helmet off, he does have a unique head sculpt, which is nice to see. There's his head sculpt, just to give you a nice look at that. again, the photoreal technology does absolute wonders for these figures. It just makes them look incredibly realistic, especially in certain lighting conditions. In terms of articulation, he has a ball jointed head on a ball hinge as well, so you can get a variety of movements out of that. I believe the neck is on a ball joint as well, although it's quite stiff on mine, so I don't know if Hasbro's intentionally glued that. I could be wrong, but there's a slight bit of movement in there. He's got ball jointed shoulders, and there's also butterfly joints there, ball hinged elbows, ball hinged wrists, ball jointed torso, ball jointed hips, swivel at the top of the thigh, ball hinged knees, of which, you know what, I'm not going to say it, ball jointed ankles with rocker joints. So you can get this guy into some pretty damn cool poses if you were going to have him out of the ship. Again, like I said, you probably won't. You'll probably have him sat in there in the gunner position. But it's nice that they have included a good amount of articulation for him. So yeah, there's not really too much to say about Dak. But that shouldn't distract you from him. You know, why redo a sculpt when it doesn't really need redoing? So that's Dak Ralter for you. So overall, that's my review of the Black Series 6-inch scaled Snowspeeder. I honestly can't recommend this thing enough. If you have the space for it, which I don't really have, but whatever, just get it. It's absolutely terrific. And you know what? It's not really a toy per se, because I can't really see a kid. Well, maybe they could. I don't know. It's not too heavy, but you know, you can make the crazy sounds like that, run around your house like an idiot. Yeah, it's great. I think for the price point as well, even better. £92 is an absolute steal. What will be left into question though is if there will be any price drops with this thing, depending on how popular it is. If there is, even more so. As I'm doing this review right here, right now, I'm not disappointed. I think it's absolutely justified. There's one or two things that are a little bit annoying, like I said, with the seat belts and things like that, but that really shouldn't put you off. You know, with a little bit of work you can get it to work, and oh boy, does it work on the nostalgia, geeky, super awesomeness level. So anyways, that's all I've really got to say about this thing. I'm super duper impressed with it. Let me know, have you guys picked this up? Are you intending to pick this up? Are you unsure if you're going to pick this up? Let me know in the comments down below. And this is me, Daniel East 1000, signing out, and thank you very much for watching.